Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 51.
Congratulations, you showed up. Give yourself a high five in celebration of your success. Welcome to the Cashflow Diary, where new and experienced investors come to take confident action towards their goals. Your host is a family man, a real estate entrepreneur, investor, coach, and instructor. As a master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow 101 game, he's inspired many to begin their journey into creating cash flow for themselves and their family. And now, here he is to offer you the tools required to earn the income desired. Your cash flow coach, Jay Massey.
All right, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I'm excited because, you've heard me say it before. I'll say it again. You're going to be the same today except for two things: the books you read and the people you meet. And I am hoping that you are enjoying meeting the same people that I'm meeting. We're meeting them, and in some cases at the same time, and we're learning some of the same things. And here's the point. Your journey when it comes to creating cash flow is, a journey. And you've got to be open to the fact that new people are going to bring new resources to the table that will unlock new possibilities for you in ways that you may not have considered. And just keep that out. Keep your mind open to that, because at the end of the day, what really happens is on your way to becoming and having and doing and all those things that you actually want, what's really cool is who you become on the way. And that happens because you meet really, really cool people. Again, glad that you're here. For those of you joining us for the first time, make sure you listen to episode number 1 if you are anywhere curious about who I am and what we've done. But the short version is, for those of you who don't know, is that my wife and I, we started out technically homeless. Credit score was a 398 and couldn't even put $75 together. And we've been able to put together a real estate portfolio that spans multiple cities, commercial real estate, as well as over 300 units. And what we do is we buy and hold. That's kind of our thing. That's why it's called the Cashflow Diary. And what we're doing here is we're doing our best to document the process, because we have this goal. We think we can obtain 1,000 units in the U.S. and 1 million square feet of commercial space. But to do that, we've got to become bigger, better people, and we've got to meet more people and go out there and help more people. And therefore, that's where this comes in. So hopefully, if you haven't already, you can go over to learninvestingnow.com, because for those of you looking to begin that process. But for those of you who have been paying attention, you've seen some of the other episodes, you now know that we have a new service available called begininvestingnow.com, which makes it very, very simple for you to pick up your own buy and hold property across the U.S. so that you can go out there and begin to have and develop your own cash flow as well. With that being said, we're going to talk about a different style, a different way, a different avenue for many of us to be able to go out there and create cash flow, because we all have valuable experiences. We all have something to share. We're all a teacher and a student in various different ways. And this is something that's new to me. And many of you know, if you've been participating in our cash flow question, you've been sending in answers to win a copy of the upcoming book, Cashflow Diary, and where I go through my entire business model and share with you how on earth did we go from being squatters and bank-owned property to owning hundreds of units in a very short period of time when the economy was, let's just say it wasn't favorable for most people. How did we do that? Well, we had to put it in a book because so many people kept asking. But you might be thinking, why a book? And I know I was thinking that when someone first approached me, but I think today you're going to learn why you might even want to write a book. You're going to learn why you have the ability to write a book. And more importantly, you're going to learn from a person who can help you get that all done. So do me a favor, listen and understand that, open your mind to a completely new avenue, because I had to, and it's been an interesting journey getting it written and understanding everything that we have gone through, and putting it down in book form has been a process, but it's actually been enjoyable, believe it or not. So I want you to welcome to the show today, Miss Michelle Prince. Michelle, you there?
I'm here. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Glad that you are here. Thank you for taking the time to join us. For those who may not be familiar with you and the fact that you were able to, you've been able to work with some great individuals like Zig Ziglar, etc. Could you share with us a little bit about Michelle? How did she get started? Why on earth do you have this passion to help anyone be able to pull that book out of them? And then for me, please explain this goal achievement award where you got a goal for doing more in 18 months than most people do in a lifetime. I really got to know what that's all about.
You bet I will. Well, just to back up as far as my background, you had asked where the passion came from. When I was 18 years old, my parents sent me to a Zig Ziglar conference, and it was life changing for me. And it hit me in such a way that I knew at that age exactly what I wanted to do when I grew up. And in
Wow.
fact, I was so sure of it that I walked up to Zig and I told him right out, I said, you know what, I'm going to work for you one day. You just wait and see, but I'm going to work for you. And 5 years, almost to the day, I was working with him at his corporate office, getting to, you know, change people's lives, basically,
Wow.
taking his message. So I started out with this passion early. I was able to, make it a part of my career early on. But then I ended up going in a totally different direction. I actually quit Ziegler after being there about 3 or 4 years to, I hate to say it, but go make more money in corporate America. I loved what I did. And it was this really hard decision to make in my early 20s where, do I follow my passion or do I make more money? And it was the dot com boom. And I don't know if you remember back in the day,
Mm.
but I was being offered a software sales job. And that was a very, lucrative opportunity. It was that golden carrot being dangled in front of me. So I jumped at it. And then I spent the next 12 years in corporate America in software sales. And what that did for my passion was pretty much destroy it. I went from
Hmm.
being full of energy, full of joy, full of life to literally just kind of going through the motions every single day. I was quote unquote successful
Hmm.
in the way that people think that they should be with, make them happy, but truly money doesn't buy you happiness. So I got to a place where I was starting to question what I was doing. And I started asking myself, what would I really do if I could do anything? And I kept coming back to the passion I felt at 18. So I decided I did something a little different. I didn't start a business and then write a book. I wrote a book, and unbeknownst to me, it built a business. So I set out, and with no intention of it, I set
Nice.
out to write this book because I felt like it was just something I had to do. And my first book was Winning in Life Now, and I was very blessed to have Zig do the foreword, and I had no intention of sharing that book with anyone other than my family. Really, it was just that personal to me. But what happened when we decided to launch it and get it out there, we launched it, and then on that day it hit bestseller, and it opened up a whole world, the world I dreamed of at 18, which was coaching and speaking and making a difference in people's lives, through my books and CDs and all these things. But it's because I wrote a book. So I learned really quickly that there's something to this story, and it's not just the content. There's something powerful when you become a published author. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about helping people to get their story out because number one, your story matters. There
Hmm.
is something that you know better than anyone else. There's something that you have inside of you that can help someone. And by getting it into a format of a book, it's just going to help that many more people. But also, too, is you have this instant credibility. And that's the credibility that's going to open up so many opportunities that create all this cash flow that we're going to be talking about. But that's a long answer to your short question of how I got started. And it's just been an exciting journey, throughout the last several years for sure.
Indeed, indeed. And I like some of the things that you said, and I hope that other people picked up on it. Is, we all feel like occasionally we have to make this choice. Do I get to do what I love or do I get to make money? Somehow,
Mm.
somewhere we learned that those were mutually exclusive and we could not combine them at some point. And until we evolve in our thinking, which is what happened for you, you then figured out a way to take what you love and turn that into something, even though it was rather unintentional. And I like that because that's one of the things that I'm always sharing with people is because they say, they look at everything that we've accomplished, and I'm trying to tell them, I'm like, no, that wasn't my intent. My intent was just to feed my family. All
Mm.
this other stuff just keeps happening. And now you want a book. Okay.
Hmm.
So let me figure that out too, So it wasn't the intent. It wasn't that I saw myself, in this position. And that's what I love about what you just said, is like you just had something that you needed to say, and you wanted to say it in a book. And I think that's amazing to me, that you took something that was personal, you put it in a book, and then from there it went off. So tell me, I have a interesting question. Because of your background, you've done sales a lot, and you worked with Zig. You had some great personal access to personal development out of the box, which is amazing. And one of the things that I definitely admire is when people can have a very clear vision and take decisive action, which I'm guessing you do on a regular basis. But what would you say is the most important skill that an author really needs?
Oh, wow. Great question. And it's going to the answer might surprise you, because
Okay.
I teach a book writing workshop, and people come, thinking that they're coming to learn and they are coming to get all the specifics of how to get a book out. But truly, you can know exactly what to do. You can have all the passion in the world to want to get it done and still not get the book out. And it's because there's a lack of belief. And this is truly the most important ingredient. You have to really own the fact that you have something worthwhile to say. And it's amazing that this is what holds authors back more than anything, is this internal chatter of, well, everybody knows that, or, that's been said before in a book. Who cares about what I have to say? Why would anybody want to read my book? Who do I think I am? And what happens is it just stops us in our tracks, when really a book is just a means to an end. And I tell people this, it's not about the book, but because as a society, we give so much respect and credit to authors, when somebody says they've written a book, it's like, wow. But the effort to get a book out is not that great. It's really more about having the confidence and the gumption to say, you know what, I am the expert in this subject, and I am going to get it out in a way that's going to claim that. But if
Yeah.
you don't believe it, you'll never finish that book. You'll never promote it, which you have to do. And I see that as probably the number one missing ingredient.
That's interesting. You're right. I wasn't expecting that answer.
Hmm.
But I definitely can relate to that answer, because for a number of years, that's exactly what I was feeling. Who's really going to buy a book or want to know anything that I'd have to say or share? Well, like, why? What's the big deal? I was just trying to feed my family. Why is that impressive? Why would you want to care about how we did it? But I've learned now that people do care. And I'm
Well, and
like,
it's so interesting. I was exactly like you, and truthfully, for the 12 years I was in corporate America, I secretly wanted to write a book. I never shared that with anybody because it just felt so like, and I would say to myself, who do you think you are? You're
right,
no Zig Ziglar. Who
right.
would want to read your book? And for 12 years, every time I would even get a little bit of momentum and thinking, I should do this, immediately that belief would pop in and say, oh no, 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 you have nothing to say. And what happened was, when I got to the point where I shifted that mindset, and instead of saying, I have nothing to say, it became pretty clear what I did have to say. And it was kind of, I have a desire to help people. I have something to say, and I'm going to do it. And what happened is, I went from that moment on, I just got on my laptop, and this book that for 12 years I kept saying I don't have anything to say, it flew out of me. And I had the whole thing done in 3 weeks. So to go from 12 years of not being able to get a book out to immediately producing a book, the only thing that changed in me was my belief.
Yeah, I'm learning that in various different ways, and that's one of the reasons I like chronicling this, is because now my kids can hear the fact that Dad didn't always have it on straight, but
Mhm.
they can learn how to go out there, and everyone can learn how to go out there and begin to build yourself into the person that you ultimately want to become. One of the things that you said that I think is interesting is that you said your story matters. Many times, specifically when it is real estate related. I do lots of capital raising. We're running, mastermind groups, all these types of things. And I focus a lot on a concept that I call investor identity, which is highly targeted and tied to your personal story. So I spend an inordinate amount of time explaining my story to investors.
Mm.
Now, my question is, how does how does one use their story effectively? Why do you say your story matters? I mean, you don't know it. You saying you made that as a blanket statement, which is good on one hand, but on the other hand, everybody's got a different story. How can everybody's story matter?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, because you're right. It does sound, if you don't know everyone's background and story, but think of it a little bit differently. Your story does matter because no matter what you do for a living, you are selling yourself. Even if you're an employee working for a company, when that person buys the product, the service, whatever it is you're selling, they're buying it because of you, because you were the person that presented it to them. So when we know this, that people do business with those they know, like, and trust. When you share a little bit of yourself, when you let people in to who you really are, that's when people get to know you, and that's when they want to work with you. So I totally believe your story matters, because no matter what you've been through, there's a reason, right? And you've
Mm,
overcome something. It
mm,
could be something small, it could be something huge, it could be positive, or it could be really negative. But there's somebody else out there in this world that is likely going through whatever you went through right now, and
uh,
you are inspiration to them. You are, wow, if he can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it. But unless you share your story, how can you make a difference in anyone else's life? So that's why I believe it. I truly believe everybody has a story, and it matters to someone,
eh,
even if it's just to themselves.
right. No, I agree. That's one of the things that having now had the opportunity to speak internationally and on various different stages and all these things, I've, when we get those emails, in fact, I got one like a few days ago, and just people saying that they saw me somewhere and it made a difference. And
Hmm.
that's been part of my motivation to finally get this into a book, is because it's like, I don't, I can't meet everybody,
Hmm.
but I can get myself into a book. Now, there's something that you said, and I've heard it said many times, but I'm guessing you're going to be the one that can explain it to me, because I gotta know. You said, how does being an author though increase someone's credibility? Help me understand that thought process in and of itself.
Okay. So basically, if you think of it this way, if you've ever met an author, if you've ever been to a speaking event or anything like that, have you ever bought a book?
Plenty.
Plenty. Probably it makes sense then you were likely impressed with them long before you read the contents of their book, right?
In some cases, yes. Sometimes
In
I
some
just
cases.
I just bought a book based on the title and said, okay, I want to read
Right.
that.
Well, I guess the point I'm trying to make is it's not so much the content of the book that gives you the credibility. I mean,
Oh,
trust me, and I teach people, you better write a really good book. There's too many reasons why you should, but the credibility doesn't come from the content. It comes from the fact that you're a published author. We put so much clout into this, and there is a statistic: 90, well, I'll give you 2 to 4% of the world will ever actually produce a book. Now,
wow.
majority, and that's think about all the books that are out there, and so few people follow through with doing it. Now, many say they want to write a book. Many say, "Oh, people tell me I should write a book," but so few people actually follow through and do it, that we give more credibility or respect to published authors. And the way I look at this is, if you've ever met somebody and they introduce themselves as a published author, you don't know anything about them, but you immediately register it as, they must know something about that, or they wouldn't have written a book on it, right? And it's not that it's difficult to write a book, and it's just that there's this perceived um, credibility factor. And the other thing is, or a perceived expert, and we want to work with the expert, no matter what the book is about, no matter what the business is. If we think that they're the expert, we want to work with them. So being an author, just it gives that perceived credibility.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm following here, and then I like this, but here comes the common objection, or at least that was very common for me. Is Michelle, my grammar is horrible, my English is worse, and I don't write very well. So now what?
I love it. Here's the bottom line: you don't have to be a good writer to be an author. You have to have a story, and you have to be able to get that story out of your head and onto paper But to make it sound good and fix those typos and help you with that grammar, that's what an editor is for. That's their job. There are people put on this earth that what they're good at. So let them
God bless
fix
them.
your story. I know, God bless them. And thank you that I have some of the best editors, because I'm a horrible writer. And my English teachers could have told you that. But I
Yeah.
have a great story and I have a passion to help people. That's all you need to write a book. And then you can hire people to make it read well. But it's not about being a good writer.
Hallelujah. That's good.
Hallelujah.
Because I was not born with that gift. I just wasn't born with that gift, but that's good. And it's good to know that. And more importantly, here's the thing I want all of you to grasp. No matter what it is that you're going out there, you say you want to buy another apartment complex, a strip center, you want a cell phone tower on your buildings. These are all things that I've done. The point is I didn't know how to do them, and it's not important that I know how. It's the same principles being applied here. It's the same principles that's required to create cash flow in real estate. It's the same principles that I'm hearing are required to and bring a book together. Is that you have to have the vision. You've got to architect, where things are supposed to go, but you can align yourself with an incredible team that has the ability to help execute things in an excellent way so that, your customer has something positive to experience. At least that's the feeling I'm getting, from you, Michelle, is that we don't, isn't, it's not like it's I have to do all the stuff. It's, I got to surround myself with a team that can help me execute my vision. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. Kind of like, think about when you build a house. You when you're building a house, you know what you want. You want a certain size, what tile you want, what kind of countertops, but that doesn't mean you're the person that's actually going to install them,
Oh God, no.
right? So, or even do the design of,
Nope.
of what you're building. So think of your book that way too. To produce a book is just like hiring contractors on your home. You're hiring contractors to help you get the book out, but nobody can give you your story but you.
Right. Got it. This is cool. This is exciting for me because earlier, today, just before we got on the phone here, I was reviewing. I've got 4 sample book covers, and I'm just like, wow, I'm actually looking at my sample book covers right now, and I'm about to talk to this lady who knows how to put books together. I'm so excited. Anyway,
That's awesome.
calm down, breathe. All right. Okay. If you're anything like me, you're having fun, especially with this episode, especially for those of you who may have already pre-ordered the book Cash Flow Diary, right? You know that I'm working on it. You've got the latest updates, and in fact, I've got an even bigger update for you than what you've already heard, and I want to share it with you. Now, we've gotten to the point to where we have what is called an ARC, an advanced reading copy. I have a digital advanced reading copy. I now have that. The cover's been approved. We're in the process of getting the first print proof done. So for all of you who have pre-ordered, thank you for your patience. The wait is almost over. Now, with all that being said, though, for all of you who have pre-ordered, I've got a special thing that I'm going to give you. It's called, I went and created when you get the book, one of the things you're going to see in there is the profit analysis quadrant. It's a tool that I've used to raise well over $5 million. In fact, it's one of the most important tools. And when we do our raising private capital mastermind groups, like we're doing right now, in fact, it helps people. Some of the people who have been there just a few short weeks have already gained access to hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's their first time using it. And this is the information that's in the book. I created an additional video series that normally goes for around $200. Well, guess what? I'm going to give it to all of you who pre-ordered the book because you've been so awesome. And I'm just excited. I'm just very, very excited. So keep listening and stay tuned for more updates, obviously, on the book. Now, for those of you listening, you're like, well, what book? I didn't get a chance to pre-order. Jay, what are you talking about? Well, I've got something special for you, too, that I want to give you an opportunity to get in on the fun, if you will. Here's the idea of the book, just for those of you who may not know. A few short years ago, my wife and I, we started in a situation where many people would call it desperate. We did not have, well, we had a credit score of 398, and we were technically squatting a bank owned property, our primary residence at that time. And well, it just, generally wasn't fun. My wife had a condition known as hyperemesis. She could not eat or drink. She almost died a few times. And that's how we started our real estate career today. Obviously, as you know, we have a few hundred units across many different states and commercial property, which is great, and building a resort internationally. Many of you know all about those things because you find me everywhere else. And many people ask, how do you raise capital? How do you do apartment buildings? How do you make the switch from single family homes to multifamily homes? How do you develop the mindset so that you can go out there after being kicked and get back up and keep going? How do I get started? All of those types of questions I get. And people ask me all the time, how do you structure your deals? How do you put your teams together? What are some of the, and then sometimes people want to, what are some before and after pictures look like? All of this stuff is what's in the book. If anything that I've said to you is of interest to you, even just getting access to the tool that literally has helped me raise millions of dollars, if that's all you want, it's worth getting the book for that very reason. Here's what you can do. Here's what you can do. For those of you who are going, man, I would love to get my hands on this advanced reading copy. By the way, because the advanced reading copy is digital, it's going to come to you immediately. So I should also tell you that advanced reading copy means there might be still some small minor changes between the actual physical version. However, I doubt you notice unless you were really paying attention to the placement of every comma. I know some of you will. That's fine. Well, maybe we'll hold a contest to see who can find the most idiosyncrasies or differences between the two, and give something away for that too. That'll be fun. Anyway, here's what you're going to do, and it's very simple. I want you to send in a text message. That's right, a text message. No emails, no need for that. If you want to send in an email too, I guess that's fine, but you can simply send in a text message. You're going to send the word book, BOOK, to the phone number 949-682-3565. Again, the number 949-682-3565. What the word you're going to send is book. Don't type anything else other than the word book. When you send that in, you're going to get some responses. Those responses are going to begin to help you process your order. Then you'll get an email. When that email comes to you, you'll have the order there. You'll have your free digital advanced reading copy. You'll be ordering an actual copy of the book as well as getting the digital advanced reading copy. And because you're pre-ordering, you're going to get access to the profit analysis quadrant videos as well. Those will come to you later via email after you've confirmed. So again, send a text message to 949-682-3565, and the code is book, BOOK. I'm so excited. I've taken up too much time, so we're not going to have the question. Let's get back to the interview. Now, here's the next thing that I'm still a little iffy on. So, but I'm sure, because it's one thing to develop a property. It's one thing to, we can go through the process of putting together the teams to develop the asset. And that's what I'm calling my book. It feels like it's an asset that I can leverage in various ways. But many times, for example, I know in real estate, many of us fail because we don't use the real estate in a proper way that the marketplace will accept and pay for. So my question to you becomes, how can I use, a book? How can I leverage that book to create cash flow, regardless of what it is that I'm looking to do, whether that be real estate or if my story is somewhere else? How does an author effectively, keywords, effectively and efficiently create streams of revenue with their book?
Well, it starts with, first of all, buying into the whole credibility factor. So by writing a book, you're instantly seen differently in the eyes of your clients, the people around you, but most importantly, you're seen differently in the eyes of the media. So the
Hmm.
opportunity to get on local TV, local radio, local newspapers is extremely high. And in fact, because you are a local quote unquote expert authority, They need you more than you need them. So what happens when you first get a book out and you let those in your local community know about it, you're instantly in demand because their job is to find those local experts and present them through the media.
Huh.
So now you have an opportunity to talk about your book, of course, but the money doesn't come through book sales. Of course, you can make some, but that's not where the huge opportunity comes from. Now
Okay.
you have all of this exposure and you're seen as the expert. So it's giving you the exposure back to your business, no matter what it is. I'll give you a great example. A client of mine who came through the Bookbound workshop is a carpet cleaner, small, local, family business, one
Okay.
shop carpet cleaner,
Hold on, hold on,
right?
hold on, hold on. You said carpet cleaner, as in they come to the house to clean a carpet?
That's correct. That
And
is
they wrote
absolutely
oh,
correct.
this is good. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
this should expand everybody's thought process right now because I would have not guessed that someone who cleans carpets would be writing a book. So this is
In
good.
fact, I have done book projects for over 20 carpet cleaners throughout the
What?
years. Yes, yes. And let me explain it. So what they're doing is now if you think of your book as a big business card, then
Uh-huh.
that's one of the reasons you need to get one out right away. But again, going back to the fact that people do business with those they know, like, and trust, the more
Mhm.
people get to know you, the more they're going to want to do business with you. So what this one client did is he wrote a book and I helped him called Nightmare Carpet Cleaners: Everything You Need to Know Before Hiring a Carpet Cleaner. Now, it was a small book, and essentially everything in the book led the person who would, if they even read it, to go down the path of wanting to work with them, because in the beginning they talk about themselves. They talk about why they got into the business. Why are they even passionate about this? Why did they even get into this business? But where they give that book out, in a lot of cases, they give this book out for free to their referral partners, to real estate agents, to people that are in working with the prospects of a carpet cleaner, right? So people are already in the home.
Hmm.
What happened with this book? Now, in your mind, you're thinking, well, that doesn't sound like such a great book. But if you go back to what the purpose of the book is from a cash flow perspective, now he can leverage author status. And that's exactly what he did. We wrote a press release, he sent it out to his local media. The local newspaper contacted him. They did a full page, front page write up on him along the lines of, local business owner writes his first book to help.
No.
I'm not
Really?
kidding. I have a copy of it that I pull it out at my workshop every time from the newspaper. And what did that do? He had a full page ad
Right.
highlighting his business. Do you think that didn't increase his cash flow?
It was,
Promise you it did. And it
yeah.
was an 80-page book. So now, you can write a book like that, or you can write your story. You can, and you incorporate the two. But the bottom line is, again, it's not necessarily what the book is about. It's about how do you leverage the fact that you are now seen as a credible expert, and that's going to open it up so much more. It also applies to speaking. There is, in my opinion,
Yeah.
no greater way to build a business, whether you are a dentist, whether you are, chiropractor, real estate agent, doesn't matter what you do. When you can speak and sell one to many versus having to meet people one to one, the chances of you increasing your revenue quickly are drastically
Y-
improved. And who do people want to speak? They want experts. Who's the expert? The author.
Nice. What's really confirming for me and hearing you say that is about a year and a half ago I was with the Kiyosaki organization, Rich Dad organization. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yes.
And I was having a conversation with Blair Singer, and he shared with me the very same thing you just said. He's like, the next thing that you must focus on, he was speaking directly to me, is you need to come up with a one to many strategy for
Mm.
everything that you're doing. And at the time I was very perplexed. I'm like, how do I do that? But it's been this journey, and that's kind of been this entire process. It's been this journey of figuring out how to get more, the one to many out there, because I've been able to conduct what is known. I don't know if you've ever played the game Cashflow 101 at all. But it's a game that teaches people how to become real estate investors, and I've done
I
crowds
have
up to
not.
200 people at a time, and it's very fun, very educational, and it teaches some of the most. It takes one of the most boring subjects, accounting, and one of the most scary subjects, investing, puts them together in a game environment, and makes you feel okay, like you can do it. And I've had the privilege of teaching that game to thousands of people for the past, 10 years or so. And when I was with the Kiyosakis in the Rich Dad crew, what was interesting was, just their response to my teaching style and all this other stuff, and just going, wow, you're one of the best instructors we've seen. And I was like, cool, that's great. But that does me very little good when I don't have a one-to-many strategy, when Blair and I were talking and all this other stuff. So I'm getting even more excited that my book is almost here. And I know many of you listening, you keep emailing, when is the book coming? When is the book coming? Really, really soon, really soon. So yes, I know, it's coming. But I'm definitely encouraged to hear these things, because I've been in this position like, what's going to happen? Is anyone going to read it? I don't know. And then you're telling me an 80-page book can produce that type of a result. And I know we're about 320 pages with illustrations and photos and all these other stuff that's going along with it. It's just, I'm getting more and more excited, for this process to, come full circle. So this is good. I'm really enjoying this. What would you say to that person or persons who's looking to maybe diversify their cash flow? Maybe they've done some, they've done well for themselves in some industry. And because I know one of the reasons people look to real estate is because they like the idea of passive, or what some people call residual income. Mm-hmm. And what would you say to that person who's looking to develop more of that passive or residual income? How could they leverage, what would they do to be able to do that? Because I get the fact that if you get a book out there, people could call you, like the carpet cleaner, to come perform a service. But what would be the path if I wanted to create some less active income in that regard? What would you say that would look like?
Well, one of the things that I teach is, it's, so a book is great and it will get you that credibility, but it's just one way to reach people. Mm-hmm. I tell people to think about how they like to best learn. Do you learn best by reading? Do you learn best by listening to, say, CDs, podcasts? Do you learn best in live events? Do you learn best one-on-one coaching? Mm-hmm. And we're all different. So by just writing a book, and nothing else, you're really eliminating, a good portion of your market. So what I suggest is taking the content and repurpose it, not redoing it necessarily, but repurposing it into different formats. So if you have a physical book, produce it into an ebook. Mm-hmm. If you have an ebook, take that content and reproduce it into, say, articles or videos, things that you can get out on the internet. But then also record yourself speaking, record yourself on seminars, phones, anything you can to create CDs and MP3s and all that, DVDs, recording yourself speaking about the topic of your book. All of these are separate, multiple revenue streams. One thing that goes overlooked so many times is coaching. And I'll give you a quick story on this. When I wrote Winning in Life Now, again, I had no intention of building a business. I really didn't, but it found me. I didn't find it.
Yeah.
And what happened was somebody in the Midwest, a woman calls me one day, and somebody had bought the book for her, sent it to her. She read it. She loved it. She contacted me and she said, I want to hire you as my coach. And I said, well, I don't coach. I just wrote a book. And she's like, no, really, I want to pay you to be my coach, my mentor. And I'm not kidding you. I told her no. And in fact, I didn't just say no. I said, why would you pay me to coach you when everything I would coach you on is in a $20 book? I really said that to her. And I really meant it. And she was like, well, because I need somebody to walk with me. I want somebody to kind of hold my hand, encourage me, coach me, and I want you. And of course, I let her pay me. And she was a coaching client of mine for a year and a half. And we talked every week. And I basically, one of her goals was she wanted to lose weight. I'm not a weight loss coach, but I do know how to set goals. I know how to motivate people, encourage people. And that's all I did. I just basically taught her what was in this little book. And it made me a very significant income. And it's also what launched me into the coaching business and the seminar business.
That's so awesome. I love it.
But it's true though. So don't ever underestimate the power of what you know. And anything of value is worth investing in. So some people want to invest more than just in a book.
Yeah, that. What's so funny is that our stories are starting to overlap here in various ways, because that the whole I wasn't really coaching. I was just helping people for free because they
Right.
were local. It was like, whatever, I can help you, sure, no problem. And then it got to be too many people, and
Mm-hmm.
then to what happened is I thought a guy approached me at a networking event, and I kid you not, his words were, "Can you teach me everything you know?" And it just struck me the way he said it. And I was like, I guess I could. But in my head, I was thinking, man, that's going to be a lot of time. And you know what? And then I said to myself, I know what I'll do. I'll tell him I can, but it's going to cost him a lot of money. And that'll make him go away. And I was wrong. And he actually paid me. And I was like, huh, okay, so let's do this again. And it's very, because I didn't, again, like you said, don't discount what you know. You don't, what you know, what we've been through has been, as you said, this is so awesome. I'm getting more excited because I've, because in the thing that's underscoring my excitement is I get these emails from people who've seen me on stage, once, or saw a YouTube video, or maybe they found the podcast and went over to the website, like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. And I know what's in the book. I know what I wrote in the book, and I'm like, I just put in there what has helped me to build what we have today and where we're headed. And I'm just like, this is good. If you're telling me that these things can happen and have happened to you from you writing books, that's awesome. I'm excited. So here comes the magic question then. How long do you wait before you write the next book?
Well, as soon as you have another idea that can help people, it could be immediate, it could be 5 years. It just depends on what you want to do with it.
So there's
It's
no like rule of thumb, like you don't write one every 6 months or something. I
You
mean,
know
I don't
what? If
know.
you can produce a book every 6 months, I say do it, because author of multiple books is better than author of just one. But the reality is if you're doing this right, and if it's not just about writing a book and you're done. That's the easy part. The hard part comes once the book is produced, and your job is to market it and get it in the hands of people. That is not easy. And
Okay.
it's also one of the reasons why publishing companies don't do that for you, even if they take on your book. And why, as a self-publisher, it's 100% your job. You can go and write and write and write and write and write and make no money, because
Wow.
if you can't get your book in the hands of people that can invest in you, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So, but if you can successfully get yourself out there, build an author platform, and create these revenue streams we're talking about, and get a book out every 6 months, fantastic. You're amazing.
you
But it's
know?
not necessary, is what I'm
Okay.
trying to say, because
Okay.
you can use that leverage of author status with one book. You can even do that with one chapter. I do a book series called Dare to Be a Difference Maker, and we're on volume 4 right now. And each book has 20 authors. They each write one chapter, and they're amazing stories, but they have all the benefits that you have as writing your own book, and they've written one chapter. And that's
Huh.
because published author is published author,
Interesting.
whether you write one chapter or a full book yourself. So,
Got it. Got it. Okay. See, I'm learning stuff here. I like this. Now, I guess then the question becomes, is there a specific advantage to having written multiple books? Is that in some way, shape, or form?
it depends what you want to do with your book. So for me personally, my profession is I'm a speaker, right? So I do seminars, I do training, and so for me to have multiple books is important because I can speak on a lot of different topics.
Right.
So when you have a book to go along with a talk as a speaker, all the better, because again, multiple revenue streams. When you're up on a stage, what are you doing? You're seeding and selling your books.
Right.
So I have a book on productivity. I have a personal development book. I have a book on how to write a book. I mean, so I have a lot of different books that are used in different ways. Now, if that's not your goal, and you are just writing a book to have it as a business card, to say build your real estate business or your investment business or something like that, then one may be fine. It all boils down to, why are you writing the book? What's the purpose? And what are you trying to get out of it?
I see. I
Will
see. Okay.
determine the answer to that.
Got it. Got it. And I didn't want to skip over one thing that I hope you guys all heard, because she mentioned something, and she's like, you could build the asset, you could write the best book in the world, you could have the best editors in the world, but what I'm going to interpret her words as saying is that if you can't get she said you can't get the book in the hands of the right people, it's useless, for lack of a better way of putting it. And I'm going, that's the same thing, that many times when people are asking me how to transact real estate. I mean, you can know all the technical terms and all the technical details of every contract and everything out there, but if you don't know how to sell, to either raise the capital and or get the tenant in the building or do those types of things, you're not going to make it very, very far. And what I hear you saying, Michelle, is that maybe I'm overreaching, but I'm hearing that sales skills help as well.
It does. And it's not even sales as much as
Okay.
it is marketing, and I call it positioning.
Okay. I'm
It's
open.
it's it's really a little bit different than even like a traditional sales where you're picking up the phone, or you're going and meeting with someone and selling your bag of goods. It's more about positioning yourself as that credible expert. And through social media, through your website, through your all of the different pieces of your business, they have to look the part. You have to be the part. And so it's more about kind of that, what I said early on, you have to claim it. So when you go to a networking event, or you go to a anywhere where there's potential prospects, it's about claiming the fact that you are the expert on your topic and building that platform versus just selling a book, if that makes sense. When you have a platform, people want to learn from you. Like you said, this guy said to you, I want to know everything you know. Well, that's a platform.
Hmm.
Meaning they want to invest in you, and so it's not like he said, I want to buy your book. He's saying, I want to know what you know.
Right.
And so that's just a shift. And I tell people in my workshop, I was like, from this moment on, because everybody leaves that workshop with their book completely done, outlined, ready to go. And so I say, from this moment on, if as long as you push forward and finish this book, you are the author of the forthcoming book, whatever it's called. You have to own it. And that's how you start building your platform, and all your marketing should represent that platform
Hmm.
as the expert.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I can sense some changes coming, but that's good. That's good. Now, before we end, I'm just curious, how can we get more of Michelle? Where do we find you? How do we begin? Because you probably ignited. I know I'm excited. I mean, yeah, I'm excited partly because my cover. I was looking at my book covers, and I know the content, what's in the book, and it's going to help a lot of people. But
Uh-huh.
for those that are listening and they're excited and they want to begin their journey and create some cash flow, maybe with a book or building this platform, as you call it, to go out there and take over the world in their own special way and help people. What's the first step?
Well, to get a hold of me, the first step would be just reach out to me. Find me on Facebook, Michelle Prince, or go to my website, michelleprince.com. But there, first thing first, let me see how I can help you, because I am so passionate about people getting their stories out of their head and onto paper, that I would love to talk to anyone that's listening. But then there's also the book writing workshop that I do, is called Bookbound Workshop, and it's bookboundworkshop.com. For more information on how you can start to get that story out, and literally there are people that come through there and take everything that I teach, implement it, and have a book out, and they're leveraging it within 3 months. Then there are others that come, they learn it, and they say, you know what, this is awesome, I'm sold, do it for me. We do that too. So it's just I think the first step is realizing you have something to say. The second step is looking at it in terms of a marketing plan. It's just, instead of building a brochure, you're building a book. And then getting it done. Because again, we give credibility because so few people take action.
Whoa, yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that one. It's funny how that human nature aspect is true regardless of the industry, because many people attend the seminar, but very few people apply the seminar regardless of the subject. And I find that very, very interesting. So with all of that being said, what would you say to that person or persons who right now they're saying to themselves, I think I should, man, maybe not. Or they're going, I don't know, do I really have a story in me? What would be that, bit of encouragement that you would give them that could propel them onto their journey to begin to create some cash flow for themselves?
Well, first I would say you do have a story. And if it's hard to figure out what that story is, just think, what do you help people with? What do people come to you for? It could be business related, it could be personal, it could be both, but you are making a difference in somebody's life today. All a book is doing is allowing you to make a difference to more people. It's just taking who you already are and getting it in a vehicle that can get out to more people. So it's not a question of, do you have a story? You totally do. It's, are you willing to get out there in a bigger way and benefit yourself, of course, but a lot more people. That's why you should get that book out.
Absolutely.
It becomes not about you. And that's the beauty of writing a book and doing this right, is it's not about you. It's about what you can do for somebody else. And through your story, you'll do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I definitely appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. I know that I'm more excited now, even more excited than I was, looking at my book covers. I'm like, oh, cool. This is going to make a difference. Yay. It wasn't just something that I did because somebody said I should, and few people keep asking for the book. So yay. I'm encouraged that you are out there helping us, because you're right. There are many of us who probably don't know that we have something gold, some genius inside of us that we could share to help other individuals, even if it's only in our local area. It's still helping people, and that's what's important to me anyway, is the fact that we can help each other, progress through this journey we call life. And I definitely appreciate your contribution, not only here at the Cashflow Diary, but also across the world as you continue to go out there and speak and share what it is that your story, and helping us to get ours out there as well. I definitely appreciate you being here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for investing your time with Jay Massey and the Cashflow Diary. When you have a moment, please visit iTunes and leave a positive comment about the show. And go now to our website, CashFlowDiary.com, to take advantage of our free business building course, Cashflow Foundation. Gain the knowledge, understanding, and skill that will teach you how to never need a job again. Until next time.